God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. But God only knows the real you. There's a kind of love that God only knows.
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of Your Journey Is Not Over. My name is Tanya Pearson Randolph. This is my own personal journey, and the expressions and opinions are of my own. I own all the rights to my personal journey, and to Your Journey Is Not Over. Neither are to be used, copied, or edited in any way without my consent. Okay, I had another beginning rote, and this has never happened to me before, but I was led to at the very last minute too, to add to the beginning. Still so much to say. First off, I have never taken medication. I've taken NyQuil, baby aspirins for rare headaches, and liquid amoxicillin for my yearly strep throat and ear infections. So, living under the belief that people can cope without medications, as far as trauma, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and bipolar. Well, what I've learned is I was wrong, and my way of thinking is based on childhood memories, experiences that I had and witnessed. Not everyone processes trauma, depression, anxiety, panic attacks the exact same way. We all have our own ways, and yes, some do need medicine to level things out, to adjust the chemicals in the brain, and some to cope with daily life, social expectations, and stress. Again, personal lessons brought about awareness, and that awareness, well, it gave me cause to dig in and to learn more. It's a world that I truly have had no knowledge of, and also the awareness that not everyone handles life the exact same way. It's given me an education and even more compassion towards the ones who do need medication, that rely on medication to assist them and to level things out so that millions can lead a healthy, happy, productive life. Before these personal experiences of mine, tragic too, all in the last month and a half. Again, before this, I related medicine in my own uneducated mind to tattoos. Both, as I say, aren't for me, but I now understand they aren't even close. To some, medicine is not a choice, it's a must, and tattoos are a choice. And talking about medication is definitely not an area that I have experience. What I seen as a child was enough to steer me away from medication, taking medication. Personal experiences influenced my decisions. My grandmother had depression after my papa passed away, and I'm quite sure the loss of him triggered old trauma of years earlier of losing her baby just months old. New trauma does and will trigger old trauma, in which I recently learned. While being treated for her depression led to her doctor over-prescribing her pills. They would be on her kitchen table in little glasses, along with the angel food cake. I would love to know now why those pills weren't in pill bottles instead of on glasses on the kitchen table. Us kids knew not to touch them, but I remember so many pills. And then she started talking out of her mind, out of her head, not herself at all, and thinking the house was on fire, for instance. It was craziness, just not her demeanor. Well, it ended up she was over-medicated by what was determined later to be what was known as a pill doctor. It about killed her. And looking back, I'm sure my grandma thought she was losing her mind, and I'm sure her fears of the mental illness that plagued her mother, my great-grandmother, had maybe, just maybe, caught up with her, was most definitely on her mind. It was the medications. Once she was off all that he had her on, she returned to normal, whom she had always been. So looking back, that definitely left an impression on me, and it formed my opinions about medication. Personal opinion, not knowing, not being educated on facts. Again, my own personal choices about medication. Before I go further, I do want to state that yes, I do now understand why some people do need medication. It's a must, again, across the board. Some to live, some to control pain, some to level out the chemicals in their brain. I've done a lot of research lately, and I do have better understanding of the need to be consistent on medications. Once on the medicine, your body, your brain gets adjusted to the medicine. It's a balance of leveling the pain or leveling the chemicals in your brain. Again, I have a better understanding as the need for some people. I'm more educated now. Personally, I have chose to not use medications. My mental health team is shocked by the fact that I have managed to go through massive trauma and survive and overcome it without medications. My medication has always been my faith. My medication has always been God. What I have noticed, some do get defensive with me when I share my philosophy, my own personal philosophy. You got to feel it to heal it. And as I stated before in an episode in season 2, me personally, it's also a power thing. I can't hand over that kind of power over my life, even to my family physician, whom I've had for over 30 years. I trust him completely, but that's still a lot of power to give someone, and I just can't do it. Funny story though, I will share with you. 18 years ago, I was going through a divorce. I just moved back to Indiana from Texas, a move I did not want to make, nor did my kids, but a cross country move. A month later, I politely kicked my husband out. We separated, and a month after that, we agreed that after him having what I refer to as a factory wife for 10 years and thinking we were coming back to Indiana for him to resume that, and I was supposed to be okay with that, let's just say it was time to call it quits. I actually had wanted a divorce 10 years prior, but it went against everything I believed in, everything I was taught. I was taught you sacrifice, you suffer, but you stay married. Divorce was not an option. And without knowing, realizing it at the time, I was breaking generational cycles with that divorce. Why waste your life with someone you no longer love? Life is too short to be miserable. So, with all that I also was having to deal with on that, I was doing a crash course on how to be a single mom to a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old. It was a lot. So, here's my funny story. I go to my doctor during this period just for a routine checkup. And his experiences with me through the years are like everyone else's. I'm put together. I've got everything under control, or so it seems. Not much rattles me. He knows I am sensitive, especially when it came to my kids. I would cry if they got pink eye. Just hated seeing my kids hurt or to feel any pain at all. But he had never seen me emotional or break completely down. Not too many people are privy to those times, and most perceive it as I am unfazed or I walk through hell with such ease. But my tears are for my pillow, not for display. Those times are between me and God. Well, during my routine physical, I had a meltdown. To say I was completely overwhelmed is an understatement. And I trust my doctor. I felt comfortable enough to show my weaknesses and my fears of all that was going on in such a short time in my life, too. A complete meltdown. Now, when I think back, I laugh because he had never seen me like this, and I made him a nervous wreck. He had always known me to be on top of it, in charge, in control. So, this meltdown from me was all brand new to him. It was completely out of my character. My cousin was his nurse practitioner, so she made it into the room with us and was calming me down. And I just remember him being a nervous wreck and writing something. And I looked at her and I said, "What's he doing over there? What's he writing?" She was like, "I don't know. I have no clue." Well, he walks over with 3 prescriptions in his hand and proceeded to tell me, "This one will help you calm down, and this one will help you sleep." God bless. I didn't let him get to the 3rd one, and I'm quite sure he had no clue what my reaction would be. It was probably a first for him, I'm sure. To say it upset me would again be an understatement. And because of my memories of my grandma's experience, it triggered me. And so I unleashed on him. I said, "Let me get this straight. You, as my doctor, get to decide what I take, how much I take, how long I take these, and then what happens then? Do I stay on it for the rest of my life? What's the side effects when you decide to take me off of these?" He was in shock and already, again, a nervous wreck. I ripped those prescriptions up and threw the pieces on the floor, and I told him he knew better than that. He had been my doctor for years, and he knew the only medication I had ever taken from him was liquid antibiotics for, again, my yearly strep throat and ear infections. Then I told him I got to feel it to get through it, not numb it. Again, personal choice based on personal experiences, personal memories of mine. When I do share my own choice with some, well, some get defensive. I don't judge anybody for anything. It's not my job. Nor do I compare myself, my choices, with anyone else's. And yes, there are so many people that do need and rely on medications, as I have said, to live, to survive, to control pain, to maintain, to level out the imbalance in their brains. And because of my own personal choice to not take medications, I was completely uneducated until recently. The importance that medications do play in people's lives and how, when they are taken properly, it's a necessity for so many people. Again, personal lessons brings education, and that brings awareness, which then brings changes. So I will end today with, if I can do this research and discover all that I have, then what part is whomever that makes these huge decisions for our healthcare system in this country? Again, what part are they missing? This is America. We rely on these systems to do better, to be better for the American people. I do not own the rights to the things I chose to share today. Listen to your own voice, to your own soul. Too many people these days listen to the noise of the world instead of their own intuition. Trust yourself. There's a story behind every person. There's a reason why they are the way they are. Think about that before you judge someone. We are here to heal, not to harm. We are here to love, not to hate. We are here to create, not destroy. Be careful with words and with your actions. We are strangers to each other's pain. Therefore, be gentle in your actions, for we never know which heart is fragile or which soul is trying to heal. Your small act of kindness is never wasted. Maybe you don't feel like enough, but neither did 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And look what God did with that. You're more than enough. This concludes my podcast for today. Please join me next Tuesday. Listen in. And always remember, your journey is not over. God bless.
God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how it's killing you. But there's a kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been